Has been struck with Iran to scale back on its nuclear program. World leaders representing 7 nations negotiated into the early morning hours in Switzerland after days of talks. The deal puts serious restrictions on Iran's nuclear enrichment to prevent the country from working toward a nuclear weapon. In exchange, it eases some of the crippling sanctions on Iran. This preliminary deal holds up for about 6 months. The Obama administration is making it and marking it as a big step, but criticism is pouring in, with many concerned Iran won't follow through. Secretary of State John Kerry addressed that on State of the Union today.
Let me be clear. We do that with eyes absolutely wide open. We have no illusions. You don't do this on the basis of somebody's statements to you. You do it on the basis of actions that can be verified. We are convinced that over the next few months, we will really be able to put to the test what Iran's intentions are.
This agreement comes after decades of talks with Iran going nowhere, and it may have been more than just public negotiations that helped seal the deal. A senior Obama administration official says the U.S. has been meeting privately with Iranian officials since President Hassan Rouhani was elected. Jim Sciutto was in Geneva when the deal was reached and has details of the plan now.
In Geneva, a historic deal is struck.
For the first time in nearly a decade, we have halted the progress of the Iranian nuclear program, and key parts of the program will be rolled back.
Designed to block Iran from ever building a nuclear weapon.
These are substantial limitations which will help prevent Iran from building a nuclear weapon. Simply put, they cut off Iran's most likely paths to a bomb.
After weeks of intense talks between Iran and 6 world powers in Geneva, crippling economic sanctions on Iran will be eased in all about $7 billion in relief. In exchange, Iran agreed to halt enrichment of uranium above 5%, well below weapons grade, and to dilute or convert its current stockpile of enriched uranium so it cannot be used for a weapon. Iran also agreed to stop building or operating its Arak heavy water reactor, a second potential path to a bomb. And Iran promised to be more open, allowing intrusive daily monitoring of its nuclear program. In answer to a question from CNN, Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif said the deal gave Iran what it has long sought, formal recognition of its freedom to a peaceful nuclear program.
Some Iranian officials are claiming that right has been recognized. You say the program has been recognized. The White House says there is no formal recognition of a right to enrich. How did you square that circle?
The current plan of action, as we call it, in 2 distinct places has a very clear reference to the fact that Iranian enrichment program will continue and will be a part of any agreement, now and in the future.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, was sharply critical of the deal, calling it a historic mistake.
Iran is taking only cosmetic steps, which it could reverse easily within a few weeks. And in return, sanctions that took years to put in place are going to be eased.
Secretary Kerry offered this assurance to America's closest ally in the region.
The next step requires proof certain, a fail-safe set of steps which eliminate the current prospect of a breakout and the creation of a nuclear weapon.
It would have been difficult to predict an agreement like this even a few weeks ago, and there were doubts right up to the final moments until just after 3 o'clock in the morning, the news came through in an announcement, 4 simple words: we have a deal. Frederica, it was incredible to watch.
It was indeed, I'm sure. Thanks so much, Jim Sciutto. So President Obama has said the deal is a significant step forward, but it could fall apart if Congress can't agree on sanctions.
Going forward, we will continue to work closely with Congress. However, now is not the time to move forward on new sanctions, because doing so would derail this promising first step, alienate us from our allies, and risk unraveling the coalition that enabled our sanctions to be enforced in the first place.
Tori Dunnan joins us live now from D.C. So, Tori, lawmakers are reacting to this. Will this be a tough sell for the president?
So, Fred, let me just say this looks like it's going to be a long road ahead. One of the most controversial parts of the deal is easing some of the sanctions on Iran. The president says the U.S. and its partners have promised not to impose any new sanctions for the next 6 months. That's if Iran keeps its part of the bargain. And some lawmakers say this is exactly the wrong time to draw back on the pressure. Here's House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers.
And what we are finally starting to do is start to impact the elite in Iran, the business class of Iran. And finally, we were getting to the place that was actually going to really bite. And they were going to have to make the determination, is a nuclear weapon worth the destruction of our country financially? What they have just done is stopped this second round.
The big question is, can the administration guarantee that new sanctions will be delayed for at least the next 6 months? It's important to point out that influential Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer from New York says he's disappointed in the deal. Take a listen.
As for additional sanctions that Congress is considering, the disproportionality of this agreement makes it more likely that Democrats and Republicans will join together and pass additional sanctions when we return in December. I intend to discuss that possibility with my colleagues.
And one of the key factors driving both Republicans and Democrats is support for Israel, which of course we know is very unhappy with the deal. So Fred, bottom line, it seems like this is going to be a tough sales job ahead for President Obama and also for Secretary of State John Kerry.
So it will be a tough sales job, but who will it involve? To what extent?
Sure. Well, some members of Congress already know what they want from the administration. In fact, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee says he wants Kerry to come before the committee so he can answer some questions, some concerns about the deal. And Fred, also, we're likely to see a lot more reaction in the days to come and a lot more from those lawmakers about what they want to see happen.
All right. Tori Dunn, thanks so much.